Welcome back. You're watching The Market. We promised you a special interaction with the top boss of Pidilite, Bharat Puri. Here's that interaction in his interview.
देखिए this आजकल if you ask me the dark lining in the silver cloud is actually the whole commodity situation worldwide. ये पूरी दुनिया का problem है. It's not an India problem. Because of the issues in China, whether it is related to power shortage, whether it is related to their environmental issues and their ESG issues, it has been related to plants closing down because they didn't anticipate that COVID के बाद demand will come back so quickly. Right now, we are in a perfect storm as far as commodities is concerned. What all of us thought is a 1 or 2 quarter phenomena is turning out to be much longer than that. And frankly, how is this going to play out? Because secularly, demand has not gone up substantially. It is actually a supply-related problem rather than demand having gone up. But with the going up of commodity prices, the hardening of oil prices, if you ask me, the next 12 months, we will have to manage costs very, very carefully, and we will have to manage pricing very carefully. We are very clear that, via efficiency, we should only pass on 75% of inflation to consumers. But in a country like ours, demand is not inelastic. Agar aapke price badhenge, it will impact demand, and that is a concern. See, in the first wave of Corona, it was a little bit of nobody knew what is going to happen. The degree of uncertainty was very high. And it was almost people were locked in without any access or without, moving out at all. And therefore, the first phase was probably the worst from a business point of view. As business came back, the second phase was a surprise to most, and the intensity of the second wave and, therefore people being impacted was probably far greater in the second wave than in the first. What we've seen is the bounce back in the second wave has also been quicker. I think largely, A, the pace of vaccination has been good. B, we obviously, as these sero surveys are also showing, there is some degree of immunity building in because of the number of people who've already had Corona. So I think the bounce back, and slowly people are coming to the realization that this is something you have to live with. It's not going to go away. But there is also now a realization, the fear is a little lesser. The realization is this can be managed if you're careful. It's not something that is unmanageable. See, we're very strong believers in the India story, and whatever we do, we are not going to take our focus off India. The lovely thing about being in India is that India is not one country, right? It is a set of countries, and it prepares you well for the other emerging markets of the world. Our ambition has always been to be an emerging markets multinational, but very strongly Indian grounded, with India being our laboratory for growth and India, of course, being the jewel in the crown. So, for example, take something like Bangladesh. We were actually not the first company to go to Bangladesh. We've just inaugurated our second plant in Bangladesh. We are leaders again by a long distance. Fevicol has similar brand strength now in Bangladesh. We put up our second plant. Similarly, we put up a new plant in Sri Lanka. Nepal is doing extremely well. Then we go to the Middle East. We've got plants in Dubai, and we've got operations across the Middle East. In Africa, we now have plants in Egypt and Kenya. In fact, we see Africa as one of our new growth stories. In the next 3 to 5 years, you will see Africa becoming substantial, because these markets, जो आप इंडिया में सीखते हैं, वो आप वहां लगा सकते हैं. So we are very clear. We are not going to invent new categories. We are not going to invent new strategies. We are just going to take our successful India strategies and reapply it to markets which are similar to India. See, I think what has changed dramatically is, and this is not just a trend of COVID, it is also with the coming of social media, the internet, so on. Consumers today are far more aware, they are far more discriminating, and they therefore expect what I would say in inverted commas is equivalent quality to the best anywhere. And therefore, the ability to delight consumers for any organization that aims to, continue leading has to be your prime objective. I think with COVID, 2 or 3 other things have changed. The focus on health and hygiene, for example, has obviously got massively upped, which is of benefit to us, the focus on homes. So if you're spending a lot more time at home, people want to keep their home in much better condition. They want everybody now needs a home office. Therefore, the focus on home improvement, home renovation, and new homes, expansion of homes, people, the money they have saved, the money they're saving, a lot of it is now going to go into people expanding their homes. And I think that obviously is of benefit to all of the home improvement companies. Digitization we've spoken about. Today we have a digital consumer. I mean, I must tell you, currently in 1 month, we do the same amount of sales in e-commerce that we were doing in a year, 12 or 18 months back. So, obviously people have learned how to buy, and you have to be there with the consumer being able to make that happen. I think rural and semi-urban India has always been an opportunity. It's got exacerbated during COVID, and therefore sensible organizations have used this period to actually build strengths in these areas so that when the market comes back, you're ready to exploit those strengths. So to my mind, I think there is some things have been changing over a period of time and have accelerated in change. Some new things have come up. But again, for all organizations like ours, the important thing is to remain close to the consumer, keep listening to her, and make sure that you delight her more than anybody else.
All right, Pidilite down about 0.4% today, but up nearly 40% for the year so far, that is 2021. A couple of names from the broader markets also to look at. Don't miss out on Radico Khaitan. It's gaining about 9% and it has gained significantly so far this week. Remember, the company announced the launch of a couple of spirits in the luxury category, and certainly something to watch out for. We're not